else, you've been working at left right tackle still, correct?
Yes, sir.
Just kind of tell me, since the end of last season, I know you meet with the coaches. What have you felt like you had to work on to improve to become a better football player this year?
Yes, sir. That's pretty easy for me. Effort, just giving more of myself, not holding back, working harder than ever before, doing things that we don't normally do, that no one really does, but pushing harder. I've I'm a senior now. I understand steps, angles, and fundamentals, but definitely effort. Just going, being dead tired after practice. That's definitely the goal for all of us now, especially for me.
How do you feel like the unit as a whole is working together? I think you're next to Pena. You got Leary on at center. I think Javon Boughton was working at left guard, and then Connor at left tackle. How is that group meshing chemistry-wise?
We're doing well each and every day. Even some days we have different guys in different spots, but the unit is growing each and every day. We're going through the ringer with some of the things we do, but it's making us tougher, and it's going to make us a better team, especially because the team sees the offensive line putting in work day in and day out. So it kind of rubs off on the DBs or the receivers. It's definitely we're doing well.
I know Coach Chestnut is now working with the O-line. He's obviously the offensive coordinator. Do you think it helps that the O coordinator is also the O-line coach and he can kind of teach you exactly what he's looking for out of the lineman?
Absolutely. Yes, sir. It's definitely a blessing because it gives us a different perspective of more than just the offensive line. And we know what every position in the field is doing, and it can help us better understand the play to help us, make the blocks and be where we need to be, timing and all that. So definitely helps.
I got it, Wax. Has a change in the offense meant any changes for you guys as far as what you do on the offensive line?
I would say changes is asking more of us. I'll go back to the effort piece, most definitely. There's definitely some new, fundamentals and new techniques, but for the most part, we're still in the triple option world, and it's pretty much it's very similar. I'll say that. I'm not saying it's the same because it's not, but it's very similar. So we're kind of just adding on to things that we've already learned, and we're just building upon that.
I was going to ask you about conditioning coordinator Jim Gritzy. I heard some good things about what he did during the offseason. How have you personally improved physically as far as strength and conditioning? And do you feel like the new strength and conditioning staff has helped you guys?
110%. We're catapults, and we have those little things that can record what we're doing when we work out. And our numbers in terms of our push, our speeds, our yardage has almost doubled. And for me personally, I'm kind of the strongest I've been since I've been here, which is great. And I'm very excited about that. I'm maintaining my weight. I feel fast in the same sense. I know a lot of the rest of the team speak on that as well. Everyone's definitely improved in that direction, and we've done it the good, safe way and the right way.
I'll turn it over to Scott.
Scott Wyckoff.
Hey, Scott Wyckoff with WBAL Radio in Baltimore. What has been the biggest thing for you coming into your senior year that you've taken away from your experience over the previous 3 years playing at the Naval Academy that you really think is going to be a true benefit for you this year in your senior year?
That's a great question. I would say taking things one play at a time, because now this is kind of the last ride, as us and the seniors say. Taking things one play at a time. Don't get too upset when things don't go well. Don't get too obviously celebrate when things go well, but take things one play at a time and build upon that. That's definitely how we win games here, and I think the rest of the seniors will also agree with that.
What does it mean for you and the rest of your teammates on the offensive line to have one of the co-captains, Leary, on your line in your room on a daily basis?
It's great. Leary, he's an amazing leader, and he's always he leads with example. He's speaking it definitely helps because guys are already looking at him. You know, even if they're not on the offensive line, they know he's with us and he's leading us. So guys definitely around the offensive line can have respect for us and definitely understand what we're doing. And it helps the offense as a whole, you know, that he's kind of like the head of that.
In the past, you've looked across onto the defense and seen Coach Newberry trying to find ways to beat you guys. What's the dynamic now as he brings that knowledge of what works on offense from a defensive perspective to you guys on the offensive line and the entire offense?
It's a great perspective. I think he could say the same thing. He kind of oversees everything, and I think you asked me similar question in the spring. You know, he's definitely looked at the offensive side more than the defensive side. You know, check out what we're doing and understand what we're doing. And I think for him to look back and see, you know, probably know what's going on the defensive side, but not really know what's going on the offensive side and see us how we interact. I think he's definitely proud of that, and it's very encouraging these past several days.
I know no matter what, you're always preparing down the road for your service academy games, but how cool is it to have the full preseason knowing you have such a big game to start with against a team like Notre Dame on a national stage in Dublin?
It's an amazing opportunity for all of us, coaching staff, everyone to go out there and you know play probably the best team we'll play all year. And it's definitely a humbling moment as that. But it makes every practice, every rep that much more serious. You know, we're knowing we're going out with a bang. We've struggled the past few years in our first game, so we're definitely looking to turn that around. So it's been, I think it's taking us in the right direction.
And a lot of that mental because you know you cannot look past this game. This is the game you got to focus on.
Absolutely. It's a big mental battle. And, you know, whether we're lifting, meetings, anything, it's on everyone's mind. And we always acknowledge that.
What an opportunity is it for you and for your teammates to be able to play Notre Dame in Dublin, Ireland in week 0 when really the whole country will be watching you?
Amazing opportunity. Like I said, it's a blessing. You know, as it is closer, we kind of get goosebumps and stuff like that. I personally haven't been out of the country before. So, you know, I'm first time getting my passport and all that set. So as we do each small step to get closer, you know, you can just feel the excitement, the nerves, all the good emotions.
We've seen your football game develop over the last 3 years, now going into senior year. How's your chess game developed at the Naval Academy?
It's developed well. I tried joining the chess club recently, and I think because I kind of took a small break, I was a little rusty. But I plan to definitely improve that throughout this year, towards the end of the year as well.
And being a senior now and knowing what to expect really on a daily basis, not only in football practice, but everything you do on the yard, does that make things more comfortable to have a comfort zone going into this year, really seeing that light at the end of the tunnel?
100%, 100%. You know, I know even as some of the other older guys that already went through this, you know, I know it's a bittersweet thing, but it definitely gives a more cooling and comfortable feeling, like you said, 100%.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate you, support.
Pete Medhurst. You're on mute, Pete.
Sorry, it took me forever there to unmute the phone. Sam, I want to go back to something Scott mentioned there a moment ago about chess. The critical thinking, the thought process in chess where you're thinking a couple of moves ahead. As an offensive lineman, you compete against the same 1 or 2 guys over maybe 60 snaps a game. Where does the critical thinking in chess and obviously critical thinking as an offensive lineman, how do they kind of intertwine and maybe help you from that standpoint?
Yes, sir. 4 quarters, 4-quarter game, and everyone knows you got to win the game in the 4th quarter. I would say that's the biggest piece that chess, rubs off with football. And like you said, as an offensive lineman, going against pretty much the same guy each play, you're trying to understand what moves can you do to beat him mentally, physically, both later in the game. In the second half, you're learning, what he's going to do early in the game, and then in the second half, that's when you want to take advantage of some things you thought about over halftime, or even some things that you might have seen in the first couple quarters.
The voice is new, but it's a familiar voice. from that standpoint. Granted, a guy that spent a ton of his time working on the defensive side. You're a senior. You've been here. What's it been like to see this transition take place right now with Coach New obviously at the top, but obviously some new members now in this coaching staff?
It's been great. It's been great, and I think what speaks for that is to see our team moving the direction they have over the past several months. I think that's exactly what speaks for that. In terms of discipline and stuff like that, even outside of we've improved in a lot of areas in the team. So it's been a very nice experience to watch that happen.
As a senior, when you're in the same philosophy, the same things, at times maybe it can get a little stale. The fact that you've got some new concepts that are being introduced here to kind of raise the level a little bit here, because hey, these are some new things and obviously some exciting things that might be able to help you guys win more football games.
Totally, absolutely. Like you said, it's new for everyone. Although we've been here, I'm learning the same things just as the freshmen just got here a couple weeks ago. So that's definitely, it's humbling for me as well, and it makes me, even have to work harder because it's kind of like a clean slate for everyone, if that makes sense.
I know you have 4 captains, but everyone, particularly within that senior class, and quite frankly, everybody inside of a locker room is expected to lead. Now that you've arrived at your senior year, how more equipped is Sam Glover to lead when necessary than the guy that showed up at the Naval Academy?
Definitely more equipped to see. I've been blessed to have some great team captains over the past few years, and it definitely shown us. Although we've struggled with our record, whatever, even in tough games, even in losses, I've seen some good ways of leading. And it's been made more about the team than it is about wins and losses, but also, being able to push guys that are also seniors. We push each other, and I'm definitely more equipped. It's a great question.
Appreciate it, big fella. Thank you.
Sir, thank you.
Luke, play ball.
Sam, your teammate Connor McMahon is starting at left tackle. What specific strengths has he built on to secure that spot?
Connor, he's a great football player. Tall, very strong, and very athletic. He has athleticism to play anywhere on the offensive line. He played guard last year. We teach him how to snap. I'm sure he could do that. Left tackle, it's a very important position, the blind spot of the QB, and he fits the prototype for that 100%.
All I got. Thanks.
All right, Wags.
I talked to Coach Newberry, and he said he intends to have some physical practices, just like during the spring. I know that's tough on the O-lineman, especially in the August heat, but do you look forward to getting after it?
100%. I have to. Yes, sir. We're looking after to get after either way we can, whether we have full pads, the shells. The competition is needed, and it's needed for us to get tougher on the offensive line side. Ultimately, it's going to help the whole team. So I'm very excited for that.
And do you think that's going to be critical with the first opponent being Notre Dame, which is always one of the most physical teams you play? Do you feel like you're going to have to really come out? You all have gotten off to some slow starts, and you need to be ready to really play a physical game on August 26th.
Absolutely. That's how we're going to beat them, being more physical. You hit the nail in the coffin with that, or the nail on the head, excuse me. With that one right there, we're going to be, as Coach Chestnut says it, mentally calloused up, physically calloused up when it comes to playing week 0.
I know there's an ongoing quarterback battle. Is it tough for you offensive linemen to not have one quarterback that's always taking all the first team reps? And is that going to be important for you to get to where one guy you're comfortable with?
I wouldn't say it's difficult. All the quarterbacks are on the same court, regardless of who's taking the snap. But I think it's interesting to see that because it brings out the best out of them. It brings out the best out of us. That competition, and that's an important spot on this team. So I wouldn't say it's difficult, but it's definitely it's helping us more than anything.
I'm good, thank you.
Scott Wyckoff.
How personal have you guys taken it in your senior class to prove this year that you guys can be a winning football team that can take this team to new heights with all that you've gone through in the journey in the previous 3 years?
Very personal. You know, it was part of our DNA now. And you know, we've been part of some good teams that unfortunately wasn't able to, you know, have good records. So we definitely want to change that around. You know, not just for us, but for the young guys, for this coaching staff, for the whole coaching staff, for everyone, you know. So we're taking it very personal on a day-to-day basis. We're always reminded of that, you know, of the games we've been in and how many wins, how many little wins we've had as a class.
You've talked about Coach Chestnut, the newness, the ideas, what he brings to the table. Is it also having a comfort zone, knowing that Coach Ingram is there on the sidelines, and also he's going to be on the sidelines during the game for your huddles when you come off there to the bench, that you can go to him and have that familiar sound of his voice and perspective on your game since he knows you so well?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely helpful. And he can even kind of be the middleman between some of the language barriers, if there are any. Probably not now, but you know, him and Coach Chestnut are definitely on the same accord, and you know, been coaching the same thing. They're very smart gentlemen, and so if things are called different or slightly said different, they know how to get it to the same page, and especially to us.
When you go through something like you went through on Saturday with the Fan Fest, I know during games the seats are packed and there are all sorts of people there, but getting up close and personal with particularly young families that really have a stake in Navy football and means so much to them. What does that mean for you to be able to go through an experience like that?
It was amazing. Very humbling. You know, we don't really get that interaction much. We're busy here on a day-to-day basis, whether it's practice, school. So to see people come out and you know, want to just get a little signature or whatever, maybe a picture, it felt very appreciating. We all felt very appreciated, and it was great for us to, you know, get out there when we're so busy with camp, to get out there and be able to do that.
And finally, what is the playing weight that you want to be at when you guys are taking the first snaps against Notre Dame? And is it difficult, or what's the dynamic in that, trying to get to that weight as you move through these hot preseason practices?
Yes, sir. I've always been around like 270 playing the last couple of years. I'm at 280 right now. And I'm still moving fast. So I feel very comfortable playing here now. And it's a matter of, you know, keeping my weight up to that time, because, you know, we still have some time left, so a lot can change. But I'm very comfortable here now. I feel like for my position, it gives me some more muscle to get some more knockback up front.
Good deal. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Pete Medhurst.
I want to follow up on that, Sam. During the summer like this, how hard is it to keep your weight where you need it, and what are the keys for you to doing that?
It's very difficult with, like Mr. Wyckoff said, the heat. It's very hot outside, and we're working. You know, you walk up the steps of your room, you're sweating. You probably lost a pound, maybe. So eating, definitely eating a lot. Even I sometimes have to force myself to eat a little bit more than I would want to, just to make sure that I'm keeping my weight, but also, you know, being able to survive out there. And then a lot of fluids. We take a lot of fluids in around the clock, all day, all night. And that's probably the only way, you know, to give yourself a chance to keep your weight.
How would you best describe the last 3 years as a midshipman and a football player?
Great question. Wow. I would say that it's been a kind of like an unforeseen journey. You know, you kind of get here, and when I got here, it was smack down in the middle of COVID, so it was a little weird, and definitely didn't know what to expect with football, anything, daily life here. Everything was different here. So to get past that and get to where we are now has definitely been a blessing, and it's great to see the whole entire yard, this whole entire team, the whole entire school change and get back on our feet. It's definitely been a great experience to kind of do some adversity like that. Big adversity teacher, I'll say that.
Is it normal now?
It is. Yes, sir. It's normal. It's a lot of normality everywhere now than what it was a couple of years ago. On the team, on the yard, everywhere.
Scott Wyckoff at WBAL Radio and the Navy Radio Network. What's been the the one thing that's impressed you the most about working with this offensive line, not only through the spring and through the kind of your intermediate practices, but now that you've gotten your feet going in the fall practice?
I think the biggest thing is just a great group of guys, and very unselfish, as always with offensive linemen typically. And they just worked hard, and they've embraced, the change. They've embraced some new things we're doing. They're working hard. We're only through 5 practices of fall camp, and last week obviously had to deal with a lot of unusual heat. So that's tough on big guys, but I'm just they're great kids to be around, and they're working hard, and just plugging away, trying to get better.
For those players, how different is the terminology that they're dealing with?
The terminology is, I wouldn't say 100% different, but it's considerably different. Yeah. So the terminology has been a big change for them for sure.
Is it good that they're all on the same page, learning it from a get-go all together?
Oh yeah, for sure. So we had spring ball, so we had 15 practices, and then we had obviously some summer meetings and things like that. So we are I think we've kind of hit the point now we're in fall camp, and we're just running with it. And then when we add something, there's word association and things like that. So I think we're making good progress with it.
This offensive line really came along during the season last year. What's your goal going in to have this offensive line take it up another notch?
Well, I think that the goal is for them when we play Notre Dame, they're ready to roll, and guys that we can depend on, guys that we can win with. We've got to establish some, still working out, solidifying the starting lineup. We want to put the best 5 out there. We want to have some capable backups. We're super excited about some of these young guys as well. I think we have some freshmen that may have an opportunity at some point this fall to play for us, which is highly unusual for offensive linemen coming out of plebe summer.
Do you see that as a benefit?
I think that's a huge benefit. Anything we can do to kind of enhance our athleticism and strengthen depth, I think is a huge asset to us. And obviously we're not depending on those guys, so we have some older guys in front of them, so we won't put them out there until it's time for them to play.
How do you like your added role of being assistant head coach?
I just want to do anything I can do to help the football team. So I'm just I like the fact that I'm still coaching at Navy. I'm super excited about it. I love it here. This is where I want to be. And so anything Coach Newberry asked me to do, or Coach Chestnut asked me to do, I'll do it enthusiastically, and I'll do it to the best of my ability.
You talked about the Notre Dame game. Kind of nice to have a carrot like that for the first game, so there's nobody thinking about overlooking or looking past anything. The task is at hand.
I think it's good. I think it gets our guys' attention, but I don't think we're in a place where we can overlook anybody, and we're not going to approach it that way. But yes, it'll be exciting, but it's obviously very challenging as well. They're pretty good if you hadn't heard.
Yeah. Thanks, Coach.
Okay.
Bill Wagner. Wags, you there?
Yes.
What's up, Wags?
You're muted. You're muted or no service. I'm going to skip on to Julie Miller while Wags tries to figure it out.
Oh my goodness. So, are you personally excited about going to Ireland for Notre Dame? Is that something you've done before? Going to Ireland, and what are you looking forward to most for the game?
This will be my 3rd trip to Ireland. I was here in 2012, I believe it was, right, Scott?
Yep.
We played Notre Dame there a few years ago. So yeah, I'm super excited about it. All these opportunities are, great experiences and great opportunities. Beautiful place. But we are going to play a football game, and we're going to win a football game. So what I'm looking forward to most is going out and competing and playing well and have an opportunity to win the football game.
Yeah. So, how are you balancing the new role of assistant head coach? How's that for you? And how's that going for you? Like, is that a big adaptation?
No, I've done a lot of. I think this is my 27th season coaching. My dad coached for 43 years. My brother's a high school coach. I grew up in a locker room. I grew up around football teams. So, like I said, I'll come in every day, and anything I'm asked to do, I'll do enthusiastically to the best of my ability. And no, I'm coaching, and I'm trying to help.
Yeah, absolutely. You got coaching in your blood, huh? That's
A little
awesome.
bit, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is my first coaching interview, so I'm just gonna watch from now on. But thank you for answering my questions.
You're welcome.
Wags, you back now?
Yeah, I was unable to get it off mute. Sorry about that, Coach.
You're all right.
So I take it the current starting five is the same that's on the depth chart: McMahon, Balton, Martese, Pena, and Glover.
We are, I'm just trying to. I always bring my depth chart in here when I have these interviews, so I got a lot of names to remember. I think that's some shape, form, or fashion of it. I think that's probably where we'd be at if we played today. McMahon, Purvis, Lyrion, Justin Self's doing a lot at center as well. Josh Pena and Glover. I'm not sure. I think you said Bouton as well, but he's obviously working a couple spots for us as well.
So were all of those guys full go in the spring? I want to feel like somebody was not full go in the spring.
I think they were. Connor McMahon was full go. Purvis was, Self, Pena, Glover, Martese. I think all those guys were full go.
Okay. So I was going to ask, where do you think the chemistry is with this unit at this point?
A lot of them have been here, and then a lot of guys are feeling their way through. So probably needs to be better, but I don't think it's bad. We just got some guys that have played, and you got some guys who haven't played. There have been some changes, so things are a little bit different. So they're still working their way through it. But I think they're great guys. They want to win. They want what's best for Navy football. So I don't have any issue with that. I think they're working hard, and we're just a work in progress like we always are.
Can you talk a little bit about McMahon? I mean, I know you tried him at guard a little bit in the spring, but then ultimately decided you like him at left tackle. But he's a real athletic guy. He's not the biggest guy. What can you say about Connor?
He is, he played games last year for us at tackle and then ended up starting games at the end at guard. He's probably talented enough to play center for us. He could play all 5 spots. He is, he's a tall kid. He's gained some weight. He's athletic. He's a tough kid. Kind of working through getting in shape right now and pushing through to play harder. So that's kind of the focus with him right now. But I think he's very talented. I think he's tough. And I think that if we have a good season, I think he's the kind of guy that can be an all-conference player for us. I'm high on Connor, and our expectations of Connor are super high.
And I believe by games played, wouldn't Pena be the most experienced of this group?
Pena most likely, and then I would say probably Lyrion Martese has played in quite a few games as well. He's had some injuries over the years. Sam Glover's played in some games. Obviously, Connor McMahon has played in games. But I think you're right. Probably Pena, then maybe Martese would be second.
And what does Josh bring to the table, Coach Ingram?
Well, he's played a lot of football, so he's got some experience. I think he understands what we're trying to do offensively. He's got some talent. I think that's where it's at. He's played a lot of football for us, and he's a talented kid. So we expect a lot from Josh. We expect him to be a very good player for us, and we expect him to be a leader on the offensive line and be unselfish and do all the things that he needs to do for us to be successful. And I think he'll do those things.
And Larion's a big body in the middle at center, a guy that when you play where the center is covered, an odd front, he'd be good for that. I mean, you feel like you like him as the center?
Yeah, I like him at center. And, he is got some experience, played a lot last year. And I would expect him to take a big step forward, this season. We're going to need him to do it. He wants to do it. He's a team captain. He's one of the leaders on the football team. So we're expecting big things from him. And I think he has an opportunity to have a really good season for us.
All right, I'll pass it to someone else for now.
Mertezi has played in 24 games, Glover 22, Pena 21.
Okay, there you go.
A lot of those are special teams too. I think Pena started the most along the offensive line. He started 20 games.
Okay.
Let's see. Luke, did you have a question, or was that already answered on McMahon?
I do. Ashley,
Go ahead.
You mentioned the strength and the talent that Connor McMahon has, but technique-wise, what did he build on the most to secure that spot at left tackle?
Well, I think talent-wise and experience-wise, I think that was he kind of locked that spot down pretty quickly. Now, what you just mentioned, if he wants to take his game to the next level, it is, be more precise with his footwork, do a better job with his hands, play with better pad level, play harder, strain his body to the end of, from snap to whistle. So that's where he's at is what can he do, those fine details or the little things where he can take his game to the next level and be the kind of player that we think he can be. I think he has an opportunity to be one of the better offensive linemen who come through here. And we've had some really good ones over the years. And I think he can be in that same breath if he will continue to work and do the things that he needs to do.
You mentioned precision with footwork and pad level. In your experience, how much progress can someone make at that position with a game a month away?
Oh, he can make it. He can make a lot of improvements there. It is. He has all the ability to do everything we're asking him to do, and he's got to make a conscious decision to do that, and he is. But obviously, not. But we can all improve. So we're going to work hard to make sure that he does that, and we're going to make sure we work very hard to get him in shape. We're going to work very hard so he'll play the way we want him to play and the way he needs to play for us to be the kind of team we need to be.
And when you talk about being in shape, are we talking just speed, coming out of the snap, or what's that?
Well, I mean, we play a different style of offense. These guys have to strain their body. They have to run a lot of physical contact. And we want them to do it play after play after play after play. And it's not natural what we ask them to do. So, we're 5 days in, and we're going to need him to play, and all these guys to play potentially 70 snaps like that. So, they are a work in progress. But they're making progress. They're doing well. Like I said, they're not there yet, but we don't play yet either.
Exactly.
Yep.
All right, we'll make one more trip around. Scott Wyckoff.
Coach, does Coach Williams share the tight ends with you with blocking scheme, or does he handle that with them
by himself? Yeah, he does most of the fundamental work himself. He does. So he's the tight ends coach, and the tight ends, work independent of us. Occasionally they will. We've had some situations where we were down a few tackles, a play here and there. It was hot last week, so we've had some tight ends jump in and play a snap or two at tackle for us. But that was kind of last second things. We're just trying to survive. But no, he's coaching the tight ends, and occasionally we'll do a drill with them. But yeah, he's the 100% the tight ends coach.
How do you like what you've seen as you look down the line when he's working at him, when you get a chance to see them? I know they can catch the ball, but also with your blocking scheme.
I don't notice them when because I'm running around chasing my guys, but I know he's doing a great job with them. They play very hard. They're scrappy bunch. He's doing a great job with those guys for sure.
And finally, what does it mean that it seems like each and every season, one of the captains of this team is an offensive line? It seems to say a lot about the players you're recruiting at that position and what they show on the field, that each and every year your captains are represented on the offensive line?
Yeah, I think the whole group takes great pride in that. For the most part, offensive linemen are unselfish. That's kind of their characteristics. They're hard workers. There's times they go out to practice and they don't even, a ball doesn't even come over there with them. Everybody else is throwing balls around, but these guys are working. They're in the chutes, they're bending. And I think what happens is they earn the respect of their teammates. So I take great pride in that. I know Coach Chestnut takes great pride in that as well. But I just think that's the culture that we've established here, and hopefully it'll continue. But yeah, we're proud of these guys.
Thanks a lot, Coach.
Okay.
Wags.
So, Coach, did you say that Purvis is now the starter at left guard presently?
I'm looking at my depth chart. So I just go out there and coach whoever lines up. He is at the moment, yes.
Okay. Well, Balton was listed atop the depth chart coming into camp and coming out of spring. What has Purvis done to make a move?
Well, to be honest with you, we've tried Bouton at center as well.
Okay.
He'd been working a lot at center. We always like to have centers. So we want to have, when we go on the road, we want to have 4 or 5 guys that can snap the ball, because we've been in games where we've been down to our 3rd or 4th center. So Javon Bouton has moved back over and starting to play guard. So, like all this stuff, everything's a competition. Everything's a work in progress. We shuffle guys around. We move guys around to make sure that we're ready for any scenario that could happen in a game.
What do you like about Purvis?
He's a great kid. He's conscientious. He works hard. He has some ability. He's just a great young man. Big kid, physical, and he's doing a great job this fall camp. Just like everybody else, he's still got work to do, though.
And we just talked to Sam Glover, a very well-spoken young man. What is Sam showing you at right tackle? What does he bring to the table over there at right tackle?
Well, Sam, like Scott said, I think he's played in 22 games. So he's played a lot of football for us. He's got some length. He can run. He is, like all of us, there's some changes. And, he has taken people react differently. But this fall camp, I think he's taken a huge step from where he was in spring ball, from his play, his attitude, and not that his attitude was bad, but just has more energy about him. I just think he's doing a great job. You spoke to him. He is a great young man. So now we're pleased that Sam's here. We're pleased that he's doing well, and we just want him to do it again tomorrow morning.
So you indicated that Javon Bouton would probably be the next guy up at center. Who's the next guy up at tackle and guard? If you had to roll and go with the next tackle or guard, who is that at this moment?
Well, we are Bouton. Maybe he's back at he's playing more guard now. Justin Self would probably be the next guy up at center. At tackle, Trey Cummings and Grayson Crawford are the 2 guys that are working really hard and doing really well. Trey had some great blocks today. Another young man I'm super proud of, the resilience he's shown, the character he's shown to overcome all the things that he has. I just couldn't it's just a joy to coach that young man. Grayson Crawford's another, going to be a sophomore who is doing really well, is working really hard. So we're super excited about him as well. A couple freshmen have jumped out a little bit. Hope Smith and Cameron Nichols are 2 guys that have kind of caught our eye a little bit, and we're going to continue to give those guys some reps as well. And Hoke is a center, and Cameron Nichols is a guard at this point.
So I'm sorry, who did you say is next up at guard probably?
Bouton and Alistair Larson are probably the 2 guys that we're working.
Okay. And I know other people have questions. Last one for me. Coach Newberry indicated that there's going to be some physical practices during August camp, just like there was during the spring. Feels that's important. Obviously, you have a very physical opponent to start the season. Can you talk about that and the importance of making sure you're physically ready, especially up front?
Yeah, I think that's the key to it all is we've got to be ready to go, right out the gate, which you always need to be ready to go right out the gate. But we're having a lot of interaction with offense and defense, so we've been physical. Want to be more physical than what we are. We've been playing hard, but we'd like to play harder than what we're playing because we have a really, really good opponent to start off game one. But we got 12 really good opponents, so we need to get off to a great start and we need to maintain it. But I think we're making progress, and we're going to just keep plugging away.
Julie, do you have any other questions?
Just one. How do you think your O-line experience at the University of North Alabama, like your own, how does that impact your coaching technique, or do you think that that's been really helpful? Or
yeah, we ran a similar style offense, and I played for a guy named David Martin. He was my offensive line coach, and very influential in my life. Very intense, but just a great guy that cared about us as players, but cared about us as people. So, yeah, he made a huge impact on my life, and he was a great football coach. Got out of the profession, unfortunately, because I think he was as good as I've ever been around. And I played for offensive coordinator Willie Slater. I'll make a plug. I think he should be a college football Hall of Fame coach. He's the head coach at Clark Atlanta now. He's a longtime head coach at Tuskegee. But a great football coach who won multiple national championships at multiple stops as an offensive coordinator. But yeah, that my experience at North Alabama is probably the reason why you're talking to me today.
do you use them as inspiration? Are you trying to be that same kind of influence on the players that you coach?
I hope so. I hope I'm having some impact. Like I said, I've been around coaching my whole life. My dad was a huge impact on my life. Other coaches I've had, the coaches at North Alabama, coaches I've worked with, have been very influential in my life. So hopefully I'm reciprocating and giving it back a little bit.